Hey everyone, this is Nick at Close.io, and today's video is going to be about sales enablement. Sales enablement. Here's what it is in layman's terms. Sales enablement is the content, the tools, the resources that you give to your sales team to help them sell more effectively and be more productive in the sales process. So that could be anything from help articles on instructing new users, new customers, prospects on how to use your product or service. That's giving internal scripts or dialogues that your sales team should use when actually engaging with the prospect, giving your sales team processes to follow when a prospect does X, Y, or Z. So it's basically a playbook, both internal that your sales team uses, and then also external that your prospects see or get as a resource of information from the sales team to help them better understand the product or service and sort of make the process of selling your product easier. So that's sales enablement. In the context of small sales teams and startups or SaaS software, sales enablement is something that is done by the existing people on the team. It's not something that you should go hire someone for. It's not something that you should spend a ton of money on in terms of consultants or outside help from. This is something that is going to come and go as your product, service, and your actual team changes. So let's give a couple scenarios of what typically happens, and then I can break down how sales enablement will play in that way. So when you're getting started with your sales team and you have one person or two person, or it's you selling as the founder or the director of sales, you have all the knowledge. You and that one salesperson have all the knowledge that you could possibly have about the product, service, and the information. So the resource, the sales enablement resource, is you. You have the information. Also, in the early stage, the product and service is going to change, so the information that you're giving to the prospect rapidly changes. So creating a bunch of content based off something that's going to change in 2 months or 3 months, to me, is useless. You just might as well wait till something is more set in stone, or you have product market fit to really document those things down for public consumption. Obviously, document things internally. So really the resource at the beginning is you and that initial salesperson or sales team. Now, as you go through time and as you grow, those salespeople are going to move on to other roles in the team. They're going to start managing new people because their personal growth is going to grow, hopefully, with the trajectory of the company. So that information for the new sales team is going to be lost, the new people that join. So they need to have a repository of information to help them go out and sell, and try to have as little lost as possible when you make that transition from salespeople that are sort of quasi, co-founders of the company that are moving on to more formal roles, and you have sort of these new salespeople, and you're making their roles more formal as well. So with sales enablement, you need to be conscious or aware of the most time-intensive or repetitive tasks that your sales team is doing in terms of selling your product. Now, specifically, or what it typically is that when a prospect comes to you and says, I'm trying to do X, Y, or Z in the product, and X, Y, or Z is always the same thing. And the current way that you do it is that you get on a screen share or a call with somebody and you walk them through it. That's typically where in SaaS software, where a lot of time is burned up. Is the salesperson 10 times a day having to walk through the same exact type of thing, whether it's a feature or process or whatever it is. Those are the types of things you, as the founder, as director of sales, have to work with your team to make that as efficient as possible. And that's basically creating a video tutorial, that's creating a help article or series of articles that you can give to the prospect to help them accomplish what they're trying to accomplish without having to use the salesperson, the human resource, which is the definitely the resource that you have the least of, to handle that for you. And you need to figure out the right medium for it. Sometimes it's a video tutorial. Sometimes it's a group webinar. So if you're trying to train somebody on a product, put them into a weekly scheduled webinar and try to get multiple prospects into it. It's a very common one. So it's about reducing the repetitive nature to a single body, to a single prospect. If you can do something that covers a bunch of prospects at once, like a webinar, that's fantastic. So um, that is a general strategy that you should take. Now, how do you actually do it? Again, we're not hiring somebody for this, or you're not even hiring a external consultant for this. As time goes on, it's going to be dead easy or dead obvious to you which things take up the most time and eat up most of the salesperson's time. If you don't know, ask them, and then ask them again every other week and see if you keep getting the same answers. Then once you have two or three things that are obvious that are blocking your sales team, and a piece of content or some type of process is going to help them, then put together a plan of all the tasks that need to get done to get that out the door. Then once you have those tasks, delegate those tasks to the actual people on the sales team, because they're the ones that are most afflicted by it. They're the ones that are probably the most passionate about being unblocked from this burden. So have them put together the content, have them put together the process, and then report back the results to you. Now, this is going to do a number of things. One, it's having them do something other than sales, which honestly is great. It has their brain do something else other than the repetitive nature of sales. It's giving them more skills that they're going to use at their current job with you, or when they move on in life, so they're going to be appreciative of that, and then also help them in their next role at the company, as they grow personally. And it's going to diversify the workload and also allow them to spend time doing something that isn't sales, that actually it creates value and fulfills them more in their job, and then also helps the company at the same time. So everybody wins across the board when the other person is doing it. So that's how you should do it: is detect the issue, create all the tasks and all the things that need to be associated with it, create a plan, and then delegate that plan out to the people on the team that are getting the most afflicted by it, so they can, oftentimes actually create a better result than just you doing it yourself. So divide and conquer. Okay, now let's talk about what this type of framework of this process does. It sets a culture at the company where when people have an issue or something is blocking, they have the power to remove the block. They don't need you to do it. They can take an issue and run with it, and then through your leadership, you can help them diagnose if it's a priority or not. And sales enablement in this context is a perfect use case for this, for instilling this type of culture. Now, an example here at Close.io that just happened a couple months ago that sort of describes this perfectly is a sales rep on our team, Rebecca, and somebody on our support team, Kate. They recently put together or wrapped up a project that completely revamped the experience that someone on a Close.io free trial has. So when they sign up for the 14-day free Close.io trial and they get into the app, what do they see? It's a CRM, right? So what sample leads they're going to see, what data is there, how is the CRM set up? A lot of these things help the new user get a grasp of what's happening or how the product works. And prior to them doing this project, it was the data that was in there was like several years old. It was what was originally launched with the product back in 2013. So they took it upon themselves to spec out an entire revamp of what the trial sign up user sees when they log into the app for the first time. So. And the reason, the inspiration for that was months and months and months of having to deal with the fallout or the outdated nature of the data that was in there. Rebecca, as a salesperson, would have to describe to people, oh, that's sample data, don't worry about that, or something was confusing, or something that we've changed in the product evolved past what it was there previously, so she had to describe that. So the thing that was designed to help people was actually blocking people, and she had to spend time describing something that had nothing to do with them, becoming better at using the product and helping her sell. And then Kate on the support side was having to deal with the support issues associated with it when people would sign up and not know what this data is or be confused. So they both had equal skin in the game in terms of their frustration with this thing that was blocking them. So because of the culture of previous, help articles that we've done or previous sales enablement type things, they knew that the only way this is going to get done is if they take it upon themselves, put their heads together, pull resources from other departments or teams, and get it done. So that's what they did. So they ultimately, in the cover of night, went and specced out an entire, here's what's going to happen, here's the new workflow. They got feedback from the engineering team on how it would have to technically be done, and then they delivered it to the more, executives in the company to help them push the engineering team to put it on their plate and get it done, and it got done. So through instilling a culture of people can do these things on their own, and having them run after it and spend 10% of their week doing this other activity than their current jobs, it's going to help everybody, and everybody leaves a happy camper, and hopefully results in more sales enablement content without having to hire a bunch of extra people to do it. So that's my take on sales enablement, and an example of how in our company it's helped us. But just to recap, it's detect the top 2 or 3 things that's blocking your team, create a plan, and then delegate those tasks out to the actual people that are being afflicted or being blocked, and then they will, trust me, they will come up with a great and elegant way to unblock that, and create more productivity for the team, and then obviously a better experience for your prospects and your customers. Thanks so much.